G'day, it's Drino, and I have a response to a comment that I received on one of my videos, which was, isn't the bike that you have kind of big for a girl? When I first started riding, I learned on range bikes that were owned by Team Oregon, and these little range bikes were all limited to 250cc and under, and so I started learning on these little bikes, and you know, a lot of beginners are advised and encouraged to go out and get, you know, 250cc bikes and everything, and not without reason. If you've never ridden a bike before, it can be a little bit intimidating, to say the least, having all of that grunt and everything. And the 250cc's are perfectly adequate to, you know, get some miles underneath you, but from what I've heard from other beginners is that they very quickly outgrow the 250cc bikes. And when I did my course, it was over 3 days. By the end of the third day, I'd become so confident on the 250cc bikes that I outgrew the 250cc by the third day, and I was looking for something more. So I decided what kind of bike I wanted, and I had my heart set on a 650 V-Star Yamaha, which I ultimately did purchase. I went online first and found a forum for 650s, the V-Stars, and joined the forum and asked those people, the little kids playing, little leaguers, I asked the forum members, am I being ridiculous buying a 650cc as my first bike? And they said no. People responded that it was a great bike for a beginner. It was well balanced, it behaved itself, nice bike. I even had a grandmother respond to me and tell me that she had just learned to ride a bike. She's a grandmother, and the 650 was her first bike. And indeed, a lot of the forum members said that they've been riding for years and years and years, and they're still riding the 650. They don't see any reason to change their ride. And I really didn't want to go to the expense. I wanted to buy a new bike, and I didn't want to get something that I was going to outgrow in a couple of months and incur all that expense. So I bit the bullet and bought the 650 and just loved it. It was awesome bike for a beginner. It was beautifully balanced. Had a low center of gravity, it had a low seat height, so it was perfect for me because I'm only 5'5", so it was perfect for, you know, women or for shorter guys. And it was just, you know, it was a cute bike. I loved that bike, and you know, we did some mods and everything, and it was just awesome. And I put 1,500 miles on it in 3 months. I just was out on it. Every second I had, I was out riding. It was awesome. So my only complaint about that bike was that it seemed like it wanted, because, you know, it was only a 650cc, but with the gearing too, it seemed to want another gear. You'd be in fifth at like 60 and you'd get some vibrations. The other thing is that on the clutch, it had a very small friction zone that was right at the end of the grip, so the gear, I mean the clutch wouldn't disengage until your hand, better slow down for this call, the clutch wouldn't disengage until your fingers were, you're almost at the end of your grip, and it's kind of more challenging for a beginner. to feather the clutch, because there's not a lot of room for error in that. So that was really my only complaint about it. I probably would still have the 650, but my husband decided, he went out and bought the 1100 that I'm on right now, and he decided after having it for a little while that he wanted to get a Suzuki. So instead of trading in the 1100, we traded in the 650, and I took possession of the 1100. It was probably the best hand-me-down I've ever received. And since then I've done a lot of modifications to this bike, one of which is the air intake. It's got a dragon's breath air intake, and I don't know if you can hear it, but you can actually hear it gurgling air, which is kind of fun. The other one is the exhaust. I've got a 2-into-1 Roadhouse exhaust, primarily because 2-into-1 gives you more, even more horsepower. So I forget the exact amount of horsepower. If I can work it out, I'll put in a comment on this video, but I think it's around 25 to 30 more horsepower on this bike. This bike, I have no problems handling it. It's got plenty of power when I need it. It's easy for me to control. It's got a low center of gravity. It's comfortable. I did change out the seat, but I've had no trouble. So I immediately started on the 650. Yeah, people don't see you. I immediately started on the 650 as a beginner, and would probably still be on it, except, well, I got lucky and got the 1100. So I guess a bike is too big for you if you can't balance it, if it takes off on you, etc. And if you feel like you're out of control. I never feel like I'm out of control on this bike. It is very heavy, so I might be in trouble if I drop the bike, but the goal of riding is to not drop your bike. I think it weighs just a smidge over 600 pounds, so I'd be really pushing it to probably pick it up, but that's what big strong guy bikers are for, right? Anyway, so that's my response. Take it easy, keep the rubber side down, and I'll catch you on the twisties.